Okay. So when when the hostages came, they wanted they wanted a way to be redeemed. However, um, I discovered that they were lying to me based on the frequency I heard. Everything they were saying to me, it didn't add up. So I did something that was suspicious, and I needed I needed I needed additional assistance with discernment. So I asked Jesus to assist me. And while they were talking to me, the hostages, he was present. I did not know at the time that he had already been here. He was on the East Coast from at least 2000. When I graduated high school, he was already here, and the signs became apparent to me in the seconds before that. So I called Father Divine and I called Jesus. And while the hostages were talking to me, the courts of heaven was listening. And this happened really fast. I don't think this event lasted longer than a minute, the interaction between me and what I'm about to say. But they started to panic, the spirits, the hostages. They started to panic. And as they were talking to me, they kneeled down. And in that moment, because there were so many spirits, um, it felt like an attack. That was the first time in my lifetime that I've ever had so many spirits come to me all at once. It was the freakiest experience of my life. But when they dropped to their knees, I saw the fusion, and time started to speed up, and swan, pork butts, they started to come forward. And as Hamas was coming towards me, I noticed something was attached to them. So the hostages were attached to Hamas soldiers, but Hamas soldiers were attached to a spirit. And it was the spirit of genocide. Uh, and they were in a fusion bubble. And it looked like a yin yang symbol. Except, when you look at yin yang, you see two. I saw three. I saw the hostages, and they were in black and white as they came towards me. The hostages were in white, Hamas was in black, and they were encased in the spirit of genocide that was attached to them. I saw it. I've never seen anything like this before, where it was around them, it was like encasing them, but it was trailing behind them at the same time. Now, on that day, the judgment, because I called Jesus, I mentioned that, and I called Father Divine, and judgment was made between myself, Jesus, Father Divine, and the courts of heaven on the events, both the events that were happening right then and there, as well as the events that happened the year before. And Father Divine was very upset, and it was the first time I heard his left hand. And I don't even want to talk about this, but that has triggered a lot of mental illness for me, because I felt the fear. I felt fear that it's been haunting me for a long time. Now, I tell you these things not because I want to talk about the case, because judgment was made. Father Divine made his decision, and judgment was made on all participants that were present 2002. However, this spring actually, some element spirits woke up, or were woken up, let's say. And since that happened, there's been more atmospheric activity on Earth. There's more presence. And I noticed something this summer, not this summer, since spring, and it's bugging me bad. After they took inventory of all individuals, myself and element spirits and nature spirits discovered that there is someone missing still, that is connected to both 9/11 events. I don't fully know how this individual was not present, because I thought everyone was accounted for. This individual was not in fusion with the hostages, was not in fusion with Hamas, and was not attached to the spirit of genocide. However, when I see him, he looks in distress. He is currently, he's still here, present in the astral, and he has been for 23 years. He is not whole. He is in portions. And I've been taking a lot of time to myself, because it's bugging me. And he is in distress, and his emotions is bugging me. I can feel his emotions, which tells me he is of God light. And every time I sense him, I try to put his portions together, and I've been trying to create a description of what I see of him, what his what is visible to me of his spirit residue that is currently in the astral. And element spirits have helped me a little bit, and I know a little bit more about him. I know a couple of things, which is why I am telling the public. I am prayer filled that someone will claim him, because I have learned that he is under some sort of fraudulent spiritual insurance claim. He is being spiritually claimed in ways that are very much illegal and violating of rights, human rights as well as spiritual rights. So this individual went missing either on those 2 days. I'm not even sure, because like I said, he wasn't attached to the spirits that were around on those 2 days. I don't know how he ended up separate from them. He could have been a part of the events that happened on the second day. I got swept up in a dust storm. The dust storm that was visible, I ended up seeing it on the daily news the next day. So if anyone's curious about what I'm talking about, when I got caught in the spirits, it was photographed and it looked like a big brown, I don't know if you want to call that like a dust storm. It looked kind of like a dust storm. That was the spirits of the individuals that was in the crash, that dust storm circle, as well as the spirits of swine. I don't even want to say him. He wasn't caught in that. However, that event, the storm, ended up taking the lives of several people across the East Coast that happened to have been near bodies of water, because the storm on its way to me along New Jersey and the New York surrounding areas, it pushed people into the water. It capsized a couple boats, and I know that it caused some scaffolding to collapse. So I don't know if this individual went missing or if his life was taken through the storm, the windstorm, caused by the spirits on the second day, or if he was actually in the plane crash. But I do know a couple of things about him. I have discovered his name is Sam. I don't know if it's short for Samuel, but element spirits called him Sam. And he, from what I see of his form, when he passed, he was around the ages of, I'd say between 24 and probably 35. He was no older than 40 when he passed, but he had his hand, every time I sense him, he has his hands close to his face, so I can't see all of his face fully, or the framing of his face. But he's definitely between the ages of 24 and I'd say 35, 40 max when he passed. He is, he was, I'd say, his height had to be between 5'7" and 6'3". I He's missing portions. I can't. I'm guesstimating based on how much of him is still currently visible. He's, I would guess he's around 6 or 6'1", but I can't truthfully tell because so much of him is missing. So I'm saying between 5'7" and 6'3". He is of West Indian descent. I think he's Jamaican. And from what I'm sensing of him and his movements, physical movements throughout history, like what I sense of him as he moves, when the earth moves or whatever, he was in Jamaica. In 2001, before the 9/11 incident, he was in Jamaica visiting family. I don't know where. I just sense him. I sense his imprint in Jamaica. He is of Jamaican origin. I don't know if he was born in Jamaica, but he is definitely attached to Jamaica and the West Indies. And he was in Jamaica sometime at that summer of 2001. And his name is Sam. His first name is Sam. He was not claimed because he's still unaccounted for.